Good morning, dear students. In the last video, we learned electric charges, types of electric charges, gold leaf electroscope, methods of charging a body. In this class, let us concentrate few more concepts on the first chapter, electric charges and fields. So the first concept is basic properties of electric charges. About the electric charges, in the last class only we learned what exactly the electric charges. So in this class, we are trying to understand basic properties of electric charges. Let us understand one by one. Look at the first one. There are only two types of electric charges, namely positive and negative charge. That is what we learned in the last class also. There are only two types of electric charges, namely positive charge and negative charge. Move to the next one. Like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. The same thing we learned in the last video also. When you consider two like charges, there will be a repulsive force between that. When you consider unlike charges, there is a force of attraction. That is what like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. We move on to the third property. Electric charges is additive in nature. Here one thing you have to notice, what exactly the additive? What exactly the additive? Additive in nature, it means that the total charge on an object is algebraic sum of the charges located at different position in the object. I'll explain through the diagram. Now I consider an object. Okay. Look at the object. Here we have many number of electric charges, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Qn. But we need to calculate total charge on an object. According to this property, the total charge on an object is equal to algebraic sum of the charges located at different points or position. That is, if you consider total charge is a Q, we need to algebraic sum of all the charges. That is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus dot 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 up to Qn. Electric charges is additive in nature. Next one, electric charge is quantized. Then we need to notice what exactly the quantized. Quantized is nothing but electric charges always exist in the nature is an integral multiple of magnitude of electric charge, which means in order to express the total charge, we need to multiply the number of charge into magnitude of electric charge. For that we have a particular equation. I will write here. Q is equal to plus or minus NE. Q is equal to plus or minus NE. Here the Q stands for total charge in an object is equal to plus or minus, which means either it may be a positive charge or negative charge. N is a number of charges in that object. E is a magnitude of electric charge. Magnitude of electric charge will be equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. So in order to calculate the total charge in an object, we are using this equation. Q is equal to plus or minus N into E. By using this equation, we also calculate number of charges by using this equation. N is equal to Q divided by E. So this is what electric charge is quantized. We'll move to the next property. Electric charge is conserved. It means electric charge neither be created nor be destroyed. It can transfer from one body to another body, like law of conservation of energy. We'll move to the next property. Electric charge on an object is not affected due to the motion of the object. For example, this chalk itself I consider an object. You just imagine electric charges are present on the surface of the object. I am going to move the object. Due to the motion of the object, the electric charges which are present in the body is not affected due to its motion. Move to the next property. Electric charges always resides on the outer surface of a conductor, which is, look at this diagram, did not return the charges inside the object, have returned the charges on the outer surface of the object, which means electric charges always resides on the outer surface of a charged conductor or in the body. Then look at the last one. Charges produces magnetic field when they are in motion. Due to the motion of the body, we can experience magnetic field around the conductor. Let us understand through the diagram. I consider a conductor. See, Q indicates charge. Just imagine charges are flowing through the conductor. Due to magnetic field exists around the conductor. So that is what they are saying. Charges produces magnetic field when they are in motion. So this is all about the basic properties of electric charges, and it's very important for 3 marks. Look at the board. There are 8 properties are there. You can write any 3 for 3 marks. We'll move on to the next concept now. Now the next concept is Coulomb's law. What is the Coulomb's law says? What is the use of Coulomb's law? Coulomb's law analyzes the force between 2 point charges, or it gives the force between 2 point charges. Look at the statement for Coulomb's law. It states that the electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion between any 2 stationary point charge is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of 2 point charge and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The direction of force is along the line joining the 2 charges. I repeat, the electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion between any 2 stationary point charge is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of 2 point charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And the direction of force, look at this, the direction of force is along the line joining the 2 charges. So this is the statement for Coulomb's law. Now I am going to explain. So according to the Coulomb's law, I am going to consider 2 point charges. Namely Q1, Q2. The distance between the 2 point charges is taken as R. In the place of R, we can also take D. See, both the charges I have considered positive point charge. We can also consider one positive charge, one negative charge. This is the line joining 2 charges. See, according to the Coulomb's law, the direction of force is along the line joining the 2 charges. Means the Q1 exerts a force on Q2, the direction of force is along the line joining the 2 charges. Similarly, the Q2 exerts a force on Q1, then the direction of force is along the line joining the 2 charges. So this is the diagram. According to the Coulomb's law, we consider 2 point charges. So here Q1 and Q2 is nothing but magnitude of 2 point charges, and R is the distance between them. Now we need to calculate the magnitude of the force. According to the Coulomb's law, the force between 2 point charges is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of 2 point charges. Product of magnitude of 2 point charges means F proportional Q1 into Q2 and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, that is 1 over r square. I'll rewrite the equation like this: Q1 Q2 divided by r square. And to cancel this proportionality, I am using a constant k. Then it becomes F is equal to k Q1 Q2 divided by r square. K is proportionality constant, and it is also called as electrostatic force constant. And the constant K what we used, the value of K is depends on nature of the medium between the 2 point charge and system of unit. And on the basis of system of unit, the value of K is found to be equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. That will be equal to 9 into 10 power 9 Newton meter square per coulomb square. And finally, we can express the Coulomb's law like this: F is equal to, in the place of K, we can write 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by r squared. So this is the final equation for Coulomb's law in terms of magnitude. F is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by r squared. Here one thing you can notice, epsilon naught is there. What does that epsilon naught indicates? Epsilon naught represent permittivity of free space. You will get to know what exactly the permittivity of a medium or permittivity of a free space and relative permittivity in a further explanation. And we have a constant value for epsilon naught. I will write it here. Epsilon naught is equal to 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter square. So look at the board. Coulomb's law, it analyzes the force between 2 point charges. This is the statement, and look at the explanation, and you need to write the diagram as it is, and up to here you need to write. This is the magnitude of the force given by Coulomb's law between any 2 point charges. Since a force is a vector quantity, we need to write the Coulomb's law in vector form. Look at the Coulomb's law in vector form. By keeping this equation in mind, we have written the vector form. F vector is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by r square. R cap. Along with this equation, we need to write r cap, where r cap represents unit vector in the direction of force. So this is all about Coulomb's law and explanation of Coulomb's law and vector form of Coulomb's law. The next concept is limitations of Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law has a limitations. Look at the limitations. It is applicable only for point charge. As I said in the beginning, it is not applicable for a group of charges or number of charges. It is applicable only for point charge. Look at the second one. It is applicable when the distance between 2 point charge is greater than 10 to the power of minus 15 meter, which means so the distance between the 2 charges must be greater than 10 to the power of minus 15 meter, then only the Coulomb's law is valid, or else it's not valid. So these two are the limitations of Coulomb's law. The next concept is unit of charge or define one coulomb. In examination they will ask mention the SI unit of charge. That time you are supposed to write coulomb, that is enough, they will give 1 mark. But sometimes they will ask the question define one coulomb or define unit of charge. You have to define like this: 1 coulomb of charge is the charge which repels another identical charge with a force of 9 into 10 power 9 Newton when placed at a distance of 1 meter in A. So it can be understood by using that equation, Coulomb's law equation, that is F is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. So we need to define 1 coulomb. So suppose the magnitude of both the charges, that is Q1 and Q2, is equal to 1 coulomb, then the distance between them is become 1 meter. We know the value of 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, that is 9 into 10 power 9 Newton meter square per coulomb square. If you substitute to this equation, now 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 power 9 into Q1 and Q2 both taken as 1 coulomb, 1 into 1, and divided by R is taken as 1 meter, square is there, put it square, then finally you will get F is equal to 9 into 10 power 9 Newton. 1 coulomb of charge is the charge which repels another identical charge with a force of 9 into 10 power 9 Newton when placed at a distance of 1 meter. So like this you have to define. If they ask the question, define 1 coulomb or define unit of charge. We'll move on to the next concept. Look at the next concept, permittivity of a medium. We'll explain the Coulomb's law, epsilon naught, I said permittivity of free space. Here we are talking about permittivity of a medium. Look at the statement. It is the property of the medium which determines electric force between the two charges placed in that medium. We have one more definition for permittivity of a medium. It is the ability of the medium to allow the electric lines of force pass through it. So we have two definitions. You can write any one. So better you can go through with this. Permittivity of a medium is nothing but it determines the electric force between the two charges placed in that medium. Look at this, one more line is there. It is defined only for dielectrics. Within a bracket we have an insulator. Then what exactly the dielectrics? Dielectrics are the insulators which transmit electric effects without conducting electric charges. For example, we can write mica, oxygen and pure water. Example for dielectrics. In detail about dielectrics, you are going to understand in a further classes. The next concept is relative permittivity or dielectric constant. Look at the statement. It is the ratio of absolute permittivity of the medium to the absolute permittivity of free space. It is denoted by epsilon r. So this is the statement for relative permittivity. Let us understand in the mathematical steps. When the two charges, say Q1, Q2, placed in any medium other than air, the force between them is greatly affected. The force what we are getting when they placed in an air medium, we won't get the same force when they kept in any other medium other than air. Now I consider 2 point charges Q1 and Q2 placed in free space or vacuum. Then the force between them according to the Coulomb's law is given by F vacuum is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. The distance between the 2 point charges what I consider is R according to the Coulomb's law. Here epsilon naught is absolute permittivity of free space. The same 2 point charges, say Q1 and Q2, separated by a same distance, that is R, but placed in medium other than A, then according to the Coulomb's law we have F medium. Look at this, F vacuum, because we placed in A medium or vacuum. Here F medium because we are placing in any other medium. According to the Coulomb's law, 1 over 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 divided by r squared. Here I did not written epsilon naught. Why? Because epsilon naught is absolute permittivity of free space. Here absolute permittivity of the given medium. This is the equation number 1, equation number 2. Now equation number 1 divided by equation number 2. Then F vacuum divided by F medium, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 divided by r squared. Then F medium, 1 over 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 divided by r squared. 1 1 4 4 pi get cancelled, q1 q1 q2 q2 r squared get cancelled. The remaining thing is epsilon naught epsilon. If you simplify this equation, you will get F vacuum divided by F medium is equal to epsilon divided by epsilon naught. This is nothing but the ratio of absolute permittivity of a medium to the absolute permittivity of a free space is known as relative permittivity. That is represented by epsilon r or k. K is nothing but dielectric constant. Look at this equation. The ratio of absolute permittivity of a medium to the absolute permittivity of free space is called as relative permittivity or dielectric constant. Also, we can express relative permittivity or dielectric current in terms of force. Look at this equation. Relative permittivity in terms of force. It can be defined as ratio of force between 2 point charges placed in air medium to the force between same 2 charges placed in medium in terms of force. Here the dielectric constant has no SI unit, it's a pure number. The value of dielectric constant depends on temperature. The next concept is force between multiple charges. Through the Coulomb's law, we learn or we analyze the force between 2 point charges. Now we are analyzing force between multiple charges. So we can find the force between multiple charges by using principle of superposition. What does the principle of superposition states? Look at the statement. It states that when a number of charges interact, the total force on a given charge is equal to vector sum of forces exerted on it due to all other charges. This principle is based on the property that the forces due to individual charges are not affected by the presence or absence of other charges. So this is the statement for principle of superposition. Now we are going to understand the force between multiple charges by using a simple diagram. Now I am going to consider n number of charges, namely q1, q2, q3 dot 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 up to qn. They are distributed in random manner in vacuum or a free space. Look at this. Here I can write one charge. Here I am going to consider one more charge. And here I am going to consider one more charge. This is Q1, Q2, Q3. I consider only 3 point charges Q1, Q2, Q3. We know that the force can exert from Q2 on Q1, the force can exert from Q3 on Q1. Here Q1 is a target charge or a given charge according to this statement. We know that Q2 exerts a force on Q1, that we can write F12. F12 is nothing but force on Q1 due to Q2. Like this, Q3 exerts a force on Q1, F13, which means force on Q1 due to Q3. According to this statement, look at this statement. The principle is based on the property that the force due to individual charges are not affected by the presence or absence of other charge, which means the force exerted by the Q2 is not affected due to the force exerted by the Q3 according to this statement. Now we can identify resultant force by taking a diagonal. Here we are getting resultant force. Q1 is a target charge, and I consider two more charges, that is Q2 and Q3. Q2 exerts a force on Q1, that is F12. Q3 exerts a force on Q1, that is F13. Now, according to the Coulomb's law, the force between Q1 and Q2 can be written as F12 in vector form. I will write 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by, and the distance between Q1 and Q2 is taken as R12, the distance between Q1 and Q3 is taken as R13. So distance is R12 whole square, since we are representing in terms of vector form R cap 12. Similarly, the force between the charge Q1 and Q3 can be written as F13. Same equation according to the Coulomb's law, we are writing 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q3 divided by R13 whole square R cap 12. Similarly, for n number of charge, we can write F vector 1n is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Qn divided by R1n whole square R1n cap. Force between Q1 and Q2, force between Q1 and Q3, force between Q1 and Qn. Now, according to principle of superposition, the resultant force, the total force on a given charge, that is F vector, is vector sum of forces exerted on it due to all other charge, vector sum of the forces. So F12 plus F13 plus dot 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 F1n. So we need to add F12, F13, F1n. Look at this equation, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 over 4 pi epsilon is a common, I am taking as a common. The remaining thing Q1 Q2 divided by R12 whole square R cap 12 plus, I will write it here, Q1 Q3 divided by R13 whole square plus R cap 13 plus dot 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 Qn also we supposed to write Q1 Qn divided by R1n whole square, here plus won't come, R cap 13. Look at this, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught I have taken common. The remaining thing Q1 Q2 R12 whole square R cap 12 plus Q1 Q3 divided by R13 whole square into R cap 13. This is 13, not 12, plus F1n Qn divided by R1n square R cap 1n. This is 1n. Now in this Q1 is a common, you can take it as a common. Then F vector is equal to Q1 as a common divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, the remaining thing Q1 is taken as a common, then Q2 divided by R12 square R cap 12 plus Q3 divided by R13 whole square R cap 13 plus dot 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 Qn divided by R1n whole square R cap 1n. Look at this equation. Q1 I have taken common. The remaining is Q2 divided by R12 whole square R cap 12. Q1 is taken as a common. Q3 divided by R13 whole square R cap 13. Look at this, plus Q1 is taken as a common. The remaining Qn divided by R1n whole square into R1n cap. Now I am going to simplify the final equation like this. F vector is equal to q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught summation of I is equal to 2 to n qi divided by r1i whole square r cap 1i. Summation of I to 2 to n means in the place of I we can substitute 2, 3, 4, 5 up to n. Let me check it out. The first one, in the place of I am giving 2, it become q2, yeah, q2. In the place of I am giving 2, so r12 whole square, r12 whole square. In the place of 1 I am giving 2, so r cap 12, r cap 12. This is old school. Let me check it out for 3. Give 3, q3, yeah, we have q3. r13 square, r13 whole square, r cap 13, r cap 13. Similarly for n, give n to in the place of I, qn divided by r1n whole square. Look at this, r1n whole square, r1n cap, r cap 1n. So all are old school. So this is the final equation. It gives the total force on a given charge exerted by all other charge. So in between, I need to clarify one thing about my last class video. That was my first experience in front of the camera while writing the values of mass of proton, mass of neutron and mass of electron. By accidentally I went wrong. I will write it the values here. Please make a change. Mass of neutron 1.674 into 10 to the power of minus 27 kg. Mass of electron 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. You can concentrate here. In the place of 1.67 I have written 1.07. So there 0 must be 6. So these are the values. So today in this class we learned basic properties of electric charges, Coulomb's law, limitations of Coulomb's law, unit of charge, permittivity of a medium, relative permittivity or dielectric constant, and force between multiple charges. So next class we will discuss some other concept on the first chapter. Thank you.